It's been said that time may fly past us, but it always leaves its shadow. And coming up, a look at that shadow as we enjoy another KVUE Retrocast, where you'll see an entire newscast from the past. Even though the times and our community have changed over the years, as we'll discover on this edition of the KVUE Retrocast, covering the news was as important a service to our community then as it is now. Enjoy this KVUE Retrocast.
After days of anticipation, Hurricane Gilbert at this hour is venting its fury along the Texas-Mexican coast. Good afternoon. To residents still living along the coast, Hurricane Gilbert is providing as much punch as they had expected.
Heavy rain and winds have been the order of the day, and the misery is spreading as the storm now moves west into Mexico. Let's get the latest on Gilbert from Storm Team meteorologist Tim Ross. Tim?
Thank you, Dick. About 2 hours ago, the storm finally moved ashore. The eye of the storm, the eye of the hurricane, went ashore about 100 miles south of Brownsville, Texas. The main thing we have to think about now, at least for the Austin area and our 24 viewing area, is the potential for heavy rain. The quantitative potential for precipitation from the National Weather Service indicates that 10-inch rainfalls could be experienced in the area, particularly in the hill country west of the Austin area on Saturday. That's tomorrow. So we're going to think about that now. We're in this processing the latest satellite photographs now. We'll have those for you later in the newscast.
Thank you, Tim.
As we wait for word from Mexico on what damage Hurricane Gilbert has caused, we are getting reports about damage in the lower Rio Grande Valley. High winds and heavy rains have lashed South Texas all day long today. Tornadoes skipped all over the Rio Grande Valley, damaging homes and businesses, but so far at least there are no reports of any injuries in the valley. Just up the coast at Port Lavaca, though, officials found the body of a 3-year-old boy whose death is being blamed on Hurricane Gilbert. Let's get the latest from the valley from Action News reporter Robert Hadlock.
South Padre Island, 2 o'clock this afternoon. 80-mile-an-hour winds begin to lash beachfront hotels. What isn't tied down was blown away. The streets of the resort island were essentially deserted. Across the causeway in Port Isabel, most of that city's 5,000 residents have fled. Cameron County Sheriff's deputies were keeping an eye on things.
Hi. All right then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I didn't know whether you were stuck up here now.
Well, I appreciate you checking on us.
Okay.
What's it like to be on the hurricane? Well, we came down to Port Isabel to find out. We're standing on the bridge that leads to South Padre Island, and as you can see, the rain is coming down. It's coming down so hard, in fact, that when the droplets hit your face, it stings. As you can see, the seas are very rough right now. We have 4 to 6 feet at least above normal at this time. We see some damage on that pier over there, and keep in mind that we're not even on the Gulf of Mexico here. This is the Laguna Madre, the body of water that lies between South Padre Island and the mainland. The damage here may be much worse when dawn breaks tomorrow. Robert Hadlock, 24 Action News, South Padre Island.
And we'll be checking in with Robert again in just a few minutes. Meanwhile, the vigil continues for state officials who are part of the Emergency Operations Center at the Department of Public Safety.
Now let's go to Keith Elkins, who is at the DPS. Keith, what are state officials saying about the storm now?
Well, Judy, right now they just finished their latest official briefing downstairs in the Emergency Operations Center, and after receiving the latest on Hurricane Gilbert, you could almost hear a collective sigh of relief from the 100-plus personnel that were crowded into that small room. But we're not out of the woods, the danger zone, just yet, because for the next 24 hours it will still be a critical period for people living along the coastal region and in the hill country. That's because of torrential rains and high tides, the potential for the spawning of tornadoes and flooding. Also, people living in the hill country area expecting a rainfall cumulative total between now and Sunday of about 8 to 10 inches. Governor Bill Clement says that's the most vulnerable area. There have been no major road closings so far. There has only been one airport shut down. That was in Brownsville. The state emergency people say they have not received any major requests for assistance, and there have been no new deployments of National Guard troops or emergency personnel to the area just yet. So although it's still a critical situation for the next 24 hours, they say it could have been a lot worse, but they're going to continue monitoring it around the clock until they're out of the danger zone.
Well, Keith, how much have the predictions changed just in the past hour?
Well, Dick, they've changed quite a bit. Just 5 hours ago, for example, here at the Emergency Operations Center, they were saying that in the hill country there may be as much rainfall as 20-inch cumulative total, but now they've downgraded that to 8 to 10, still a significant amount. And they were saying that in Austin we might receive 6 to 12 inches. They're now saying that that might be more like 2 to 4. 2 to 4 inches, Governor Clement says, is something that we could certainly do with.
All right. Thank you very much, Keith.
Well, if you saw the long line of National Guard trucks on the highway early this morning, you already know how the troops are being readied in the event of an emergency. One of the first convoys in the state to be dispatched into expected trouble spots to the south left Austin this morning. The Camp Mabry-based ambulances, medical personnel, and equipment that is used in engineering work are headed for San Antonio to await further instructions to aid in the hurricane relief efforts. While Guard members were heading towards the coast, the stream of coastal residents moving north continued. Today, people fleeing the wrath of the hurricane.
Many of those people sought refuge in Austin, and Craig Marks spent most of the day at one of the 4 evacuation centers here in Austin.
There are more than 800 evacuees staying in one of 3 emergency Red Cross centers this afternoon in Austin. Almost half of them are staying here in the OBJ High School gym. The others are at Reagan and Johnson High Schools. Most of them come from the coastal area, from the Texas-Louisiana border, all the way to Corpus Christi. Without a doubt, that's where they'd like to get back to as soon as possible.
Like this?
While AJ the Clown kept kids laughing on one side of the LBJ High School gym earlier this afternoon, the older evacuees pondered the plight of their possessions left behind.
Because we lived in a wood house, it could have been damaged. And you see a lot of the houses there aren't built very strong.
Battered belongings were also on the minds of the large number of Vietnamese evacuees. Ben Tron is one of 30 who pulled out of Pasasos, Texas late last night.
I worry about my house and my boat is made gone because the hurricane comes.
We get winds about 40 miles, 30 miles an hour, and brought a lot of rain.
Ernesto Balboa also figures his belongings are taking a beating. He's been plotting Gilbert's progress since his family left Port Lavaca yesterday. Others in the gym, glued to the TV, saw that progress in pictures. But not everyone had Gilbert in mind. Jess Navarro slept outside last night in his van to care for the ducks, dogs, and other animals he brought with him. Most people, of course, didn't have time to bring everything they wanted. And still this afternoon, more evacuees are arriving from the Gulf Coast, glad to be away from Gilbert. The Red Cross says if another shelter is needed, it'll open one up at Travis High School. Craig Marks, 24 Action News.
Well, as Craig mentioned, many of the people now staying in Austin evacuation shelters came from the coastal areas around Corpus Christi, and they're probably wondering just how badly the storm has been treating their city.
Alan Berg is in Corpus Christi with this report.
This morning, Hurricane Gilbert was sending his calling card. Since yesterday, the water level has risen about 4 feet. And that, for all practical purposes, closed the causeway linking North Padre Island to the mainland.
I've never seen it like this before. Most of the people have evacuated. We have no idea how many people are still there. There's still a few cars and stuff in parking lots, but we don't know if there's anybody there or not.
Meanwhile, shelters here are filled.
Doors can melt shortly, okay?
Middle school principal Gilbert Graves has watched his house of learning turn into a house of refuge. This morning, he did his best to raise the spirits of the more than 500 people that have filled his hallways.
We don't want to put people in the classrooms and expose them, okay, to windows where there could be broken glass and flying glass.
But the crowded conditions don't really make a difference to people like Luis Aguilar. He, his wife, and 2 children arrived yesterday afternoon and don't plan to leave until the storm does.
We usually came on here just for safety. That's about the only time to feel safe.
On the coast, waves continued to pound the beach, hinting of the turmoil further offshore. Along Ocean Drive, many of Corpus Christi's finest homes are boarded up, the rough plywood standing in stark contrast to the grandeur surrounding it.
And Alan is joining us now by telephone. What is the latest there, Alan?
Well, Judy, we're in a temporary lull right now, but Corpus Christi is definitely feeling the effects as Hurricane Gilbert continues to move inland. Winds are ranging from 40 to 60 miles per hour. The Corpus Christi Emergency Operations Center reported that 2 funnel clouds were spotted about 3:30 this afternoon. Neither one of them did touch down, however. We are under a tornado watch until 7 p.m. this evening. By and large, though, the city is feeling somewhat relieved that it did not receive the brunt of the storm like it expected a couple of days ago. And although they expect some minor flooding and possibly some wind damage, they don't think things are going to be near as bad as they had anticipated. That's what's going on here, Judy. We'll continue to keep you updated.
Thank you, Alan. At one point this week, it had appeared Gilbert was headed straight for Corpus, or some point farther north on the coast. The people of Galveston had endured the last Texas hurricane, that was Alicia, back in 1983, and they had watched Gilbert's path of destruction with intense interest. Finally, last night, city officials made the call. They called for the evacuation of Galveston Island, and the exodus started. Of course, we now know the storm steered well to the south of Galveston. Ron Talley joins us now from Galveston Island. Ron, has Galveston indeed avoided damage from this hurricane?
Pretty much so. We've got some higher winds right now. The waves are up. The tide is up. We had rain earlier today, and we have rain ominously looking over us right now, but it's not falling right now. But in terms of damage, not any that has been reported yet.
Ron, have city officials there in Galveston been taking any heat for ordering the evacuation a little bit early?
Not yet. They lifted that evacuation order a couple hours ago, and people are welcome to come on back. The feeling I got last night was that they never really wanted to issue the warning in the first place, and there was possibly some pressure on them from the state officials in Austin to go ahead and do so. But either way, the size of the storm and all the pictures we had seen of the devastation and destruction from Gilbert early on in Jamaica and in Mexico, they cannot be criticized for asking people to leave. No one knew where the storm was going to hit.
I imagine a lot of people want to come home because they're worried about looting.
They are indeed. Before the storm hits and after the storm hits, usually is the time before the storm hits. As we were out today, this place was virtually a ghost town, and there's nobody watching homes, nobody watching businesses. Looting has been a problem here in the past during big storms, especially during hurricanes. We talked to one man today who now, quite frankly, puts up a sign that says, "You loot and we shoot." And he had plenty of guns to back him up as we talked with him today. Judy and Dick?
Thank you, Ron.
Well, although they are prepared for the worst, officials here in Austin say that the city should fare well as a result of Hurricane Gilbert's forward progress. At the city's emergency management office, officials are keeping a close eye on the storm's movement and keeping all emergency services informed of the latest developments. In case of an emergency, the city's fire, police, and EMS efforts would be coordinated out of this office.
This should mean, if it maintains that track, that the only thing we'll experience are those very outward bands, which are not very heavy. They're mostly light stuff. We plan to keep our eyes on it, because you could still have tornadoes, but we aren't even under a watch condition for that, so that's good.
And as a precaution, city workers moved barricaded materials into place this morning and afternoon. 42 low water crossing points around the city equipped with barricades just in case heavy rains happen to cause any flooding.
As Gilbert does move inland, more organizations are changing their weekend plans. And throughout this newscast, we'll let you know what those changes are and how you can help in the hurricane relief effort. We'll be right back.
A lot of places will cut you a deal on the price of 2 pizzas, but what usually gets cut is the amount of cheese and the toppings. But at Pizza Hut, you get 2 medium hand-tossed traditional pizzas loaded with 2 layers of cheese, just $9.99. Pile in your favorite toppings for an additional charge to cover both pizzas. At Pizza Hut, we always cut you a great deal. So why get their skimpy pizzas when you can get great pairs from Pizza Hut delivered? Pizza Hut, making it great.
As we've been telling you so far this evening, Hurricane Gilbert is moving into the northern part of Mexico, but the lower Rio Grande Valley of Texas has borne the brunt of the hurricane.
Action News reporter Robert Hadlock is joining us now from Brownsville. Robert, what's it like there now?
Well, we're just waiting and hoping that this storm will not be as bad as it is advertised to have been over the past several days. As you can see behind me, the winds are gusting quite nicely here tonight. It isn't raining right now, but we have been getting sheets of rain periodically throughout the afternoon. We have had no reports of any major damage here in Brownsville or any major injuries to anyone. That's the good news here. As we nearly get blown away, we're awaiting the arrival of the storm. We don't know, of course, what's going to happen tonight. In a couple of hours, as the storm moves in, the folks in Mexico 2 blocks that way are, of course, going to feel the brunt of this storm. They're having some bad times in Matamoros. The electricity is out over there, adding to their woes. So it's going to be a long night here to wait and see what happens.
I realize the situation is still rather blustery right there for you, but have you heard anything else out of Mexico, Robert? Any reports of any injuries down there?
None that I've been able to pick up here. We've just been concentrating here in the Brownsville area, Dick.
All right, very good. Thank you very much. Well, earlier this evening we told you about some of the weekend activities that have been postponed, but one thing that Hurricane Gilbert hasn't changed is the calendar.
Today is Dia 16, the 16th of September, the day recognized as the anniversary of the beginning of the revolution that led to Mexico's independence from France and Spain. The annual ceremony hosted by Austin State Senator Gonzalo Barrientos included lots of good music and ballet folklorico. Now, today's ceremonies also took on an added message. Texas Agriculture Commissioner Jim Hightower ended a 3-day fast in support of a boycott against California table grapes and handed over a symbolic cross to Fernando Chavez, the eldest son of Cesar Chavez, who recently ended a 36-day fast protesting the use of pesticides in the growing of California table grapes.
Tim Ross is up next with the latest on Gilbert.
This weekend, McMorris Ford gives you 4 great reasons to buy now.
1.
Just announced low 3.9 financing. 3.9.
2.
Huge discounts like $3,000. Yes, $3,000 off.
3.
Factory rebates up to $1,000. $1,000 cash back could mean no down payment. No down payment.
4.
Over 100 quality used cars and trucks to choose from. All $49 down. $49 down. Don't miss it through Saturday night only at McMorris Ford.
The rewards of your hard work, steady income, promotions, security, recognition, and membership in University Federal Credit Union. For those who qualify, we are ready to extend dozens of services. Boat and automobile loans, mortgages, lines of credit. And we'll see to it that your money works as hard as you do. Because our goal is to help you reach your financial goals. Together, we're better. You and University Federal Credit Union.
There's one event so spectacular, it happens only once in 4 years. It's Rooster Andrew's Olympic Sale, and you can save big. Like 30% off all bats, 25% off all rackets, and 50% off all bathing suits and snorkeling gear. Or have a ball, they're 25 to 30% off. Russell wind shorts are 3 for just $14.95. Shoes of all kinds are marked down 25 to 30%, and there's much more during Rooster Andrew's Olympic Sale. It's the stuff dreams are made of.
In Athens, Texas, they celebrate something that was invented right here a century ago, the hamburger. Now, a burger judge sees a lot of strange recipes, but for me, there's only one winner, the Dairy Queen Hunger Buster. A quarter-pound home-style beef patty with all the trimmings, on sale now, just 99 cents. The DQ Hunger Buster. It's what the hamburger was meant to be, right, Judge?
This is DQ Country.
On the next USA Today, cars that run on sun. Whether it's a racer like this one or his commuter model, this MIT student wants to put one in your garage. In our cover story, America's foremost futurists predict what it will be like in the year 2008. And in a New York nightclub, new technology that puts you on stage, belting out lyrics. Nothing moves faster than the USA Today.
Tonight at 6:30 on 24 KVUE TV. Tim Ross's Weathercast carries the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society. Tim Ross, Troy Kimmel, and Bob Rose, your 24 Storm Team.
So as we have seen, even though Gilbert is moving into the northern part of Mexico, still causing some problems for southern part of Texas.
It is. We just got reports in from Goliad, about halfway between here and the coast, that a tornado touched down briefly at Schrader Cutoff. It's at Highway 77 and 183, which is the road that leads out of Austin. No damage there. Also, just recently, that was about 5:30 p.m. at the 10,300 block of Upriver Road in Corpus. And the Corpus Christi tornado touchdown. Only minor damage reported. A couple of trees were uprooted. But it just goes to show you, they're brief tornadoes, but they do bounce out, especially the east and northeastern quadrant of a decaying hurricane. So it's something we're going to have to think about over the next few hours, certainly for the Austin area and all of our 24 viewing area. Getting right to it, 6 o'clock tonight, temperature and conditions out and around the area, certainly changing from time to time. Some waves of showers and rain have been going through the area. 84 degrees of temperature right now. Humidity very high. North breeze at 10, and the barometer is on the rise. The high temp today was 90 degrees despite the clouds and a few rain showers. 75 the low. Just a trace of rain at the National Weather Service out by the airport, but we've had some waves of rain move through the northwestern part of the city, perhaps where you're at too, and other parts of the city. We'll get to the Hurricane Gilbert tracking chart, we'll call it. Maximum winds 120 miles per hour as far as we know. The storm has now moved inland about 75 to 100 miles south of Brownsville, Texas at about this point. Right now it's at 24.2 north and 97.8 west. That'll be about the last of the coordinates you'll get to see. The storm should move inland and I think turn into a massive rainstorm over the next couple of days. But that was the final place that Hurricane Gilbert went ashore. The satellite photographs today, beautiful satellite photographs, or at least very descriptive satellite photographs. A series of photographs put into a loop, and you can see the eye moving from the Gulf Coast right to along the coast, again about 75 to 100 miles south of the Brownsville, Texas vicinity. There's the latest shot. We have the eye right on the coast area right there. Now here's the infrared shot that really shows the eye had geared up this afternoon with the temperatures wrapped around pretty good around that center or the eye. And again, the eye about on the coast right now, moving west-northwest till about 12 to 15 miles per hour. Once it gets inland, it's kind of tough to track. The reconnaissance aircraft flights will discontinue, and we'll be watching everything with radar from here on out. The national satellite photograph cleared out back in the Midwest behind the front, and with the hurricane now moving inshore, you can see the western Gulf of Mexico where all the action is. But notice along the front, now the outflow of moisture from the hurricane has put showers back up into the southeast and the Gulf states. Heavy rainfall too. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 2.5 inches of rain just in the last 6 hours. 2 inches at Mobile, Alabama. A couple of inches at Tupelo, Mississippi. Pensacola, Florida, an inch and a half at Memphis, Tennessee, as this moisture is spun off the hurricane and back over an existing front in that particular area, and that kicked off some showers. So another area of the country, whilst we're concentrating on the western Gulf Coast, was also getting a lot of rain showers. Now, where do we go from here? Tomorrow's potential for rainfall. We think the storm went into Mexico, no problems here, but we do have the big potential for some heavy rainfall. The quantitative precipitation forecast from the National Weather Service computer models indicate that back up into the Texas Hill Country, back up into possibly the Austin area, as much as 10 inches of rain. 4 inches in the Austin area would be more likely, so we still have a good chance of more rain tomorrow. My forecast is simply a wet one for the next day or so in the Austin area, and that's kind of where we go from here. Rain and possibility of tornadoes. We'll watch that carefully.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, Tim, and you were mentioning earlier that there was rain, tornadoes, high winds down in the Rio Grande Valley, as we were reporting all afternoon, and we understand in the central Rio Grande Valley city of Donna late this afternoon, a tornado touched down. 3 people are reported hurt. We don't know how seriously they were hurt, but we are told also that 6 homes were destroyed. Again, this is in the city of Donna, which is in that web of cities down in the Rio Grande Valley. Of course, earlier we had a report about one 3-year-old boy who was killed down near Port Lavaca, but the latest information we have now is that 6 homes were destroyed, 3 people hurt when a tornado touched down in Donna.
Well, Hurricane Gilbert continues to juggle the sports schedule as well. Hugh Lewis has the latest next in sports.
You
made it happen, Austin. The best grand opening ever. Now, the one and only Capital Mitsubishi on Research Boulevard gives you 3 great reasons to buy this week. Number 1, all 88s are being cleared out at low grand opening prices. Number 2, cashback factory incentives from $400 on the Mighty Max pickup to $2,000 on Stereons or van wagons paid direct to you. Number 3, we'll pay for the gas for the first 4,000 miles. Buy a new 88 Prius now, $59.84. And just for taking a test drive, get a free 35mm camera. Capital Mitsubishi on Research Boulevard.
Discover what millions of women throughout the world have found in Neosome Système Anti-Age from Lancôme, Paris. Neosome, the daytime skincare system that makes your skin look and feel softer and smoother. Microspheres that target the skin surface layers.
With Neosome, you will see and feel a younger looking skin. Neosome Système Anti-Age, Lancôme, Paris.
From the Lancôme collection, Beauté Exotique, your gift with any $12.50 Lancôme purchase. Now available at all Frost Brothers.
Who in the world delivers the state of the nation and the state of the state right here in the state capital every day? Who in Austin has all the answers to who's playing where, what people wear, and the market share? Where can you buy or sell things that bark or things that park? Who's the final word on moving in, dining out, losing inches, or gaining yards? There's only one place in Austin where you can get the whole story. The Austin American Statesman, period.
Maytag's truckload sale is bringing big savings to Electric Avenue, Montgomery Ward. We're bringing in large capacity Maytag washers, sale priced at $469.99, plus an extra bonus, 50 free wash loads of Tide. Heavy duty Maytag dryers are now only $399.99. Maytag Jet Clean dishwashers are also on sale for $399.99.
At least they got someplace to go.
Don't miss Maytag's truckload sale at Electric Avenue, Montgomery Ward.
So Texas is going to play.
But A&M is not.
Bad news for the Aggies. There are some unhappy Aggies in College Station tonight because today the University of Alabama called to postpone tomorrow's game until December 1st. Alabama said Delta Airlines told them it was too dangerous to fly from Birmingham to Dallas on their chartered plane. But when I called Delta this afternoon, they said they haven't canceled any flights because of Hurricane Gilbert. Well, this is what head coach Jackie Sherrill had to say about the postponement.
You're very disappointed because that's something that, both sides, there's a lot of Alabama people here that drove a long ways to get here, and there's a lot of people that we have that come in, and you got 73,000 tickets that have been sold, and frankly, it is disappointing, but, they made a decision, and whatever their decision was, we have to accept it. Doesn't mean we agree with it, but we have to accept it.
Well, don't worry about the Texas game. New Mexico is already here. The Horns host the Lobos at 7 o'clock tomorrow night in Memorial Stadium. That will mark the 1988 debut of Eric Metcalf, and the Lobos know that means a lot of trouble for their defense.
It's a challenge to be able to play against him. We're not going to see anybody like Eric Metcalf. We're going to see some fine players. Utah's Eddie Johnson, he's a great running back, and Paul Hewitt, San Diego, had 250 yards and 4 touchdowns last week. So we're going to see some guys, but Eric Metcalf, I don't know we'll see anybody as good as he is. And if we can do well, run, play well, keep him contained a little bit, it's got to give our guys some confidence.
A few high school football games were moved up tonight to avoid Hurricane Gilbert. Right now, Westlake is hosting Georgetown. That game started 20 minutes ago. It was originally set for 8 o'clock. This morning at around 8, students at Lanier High School gathered to honor their football team. The Vikings held a pep rally to get pumped up for tonight's game against San Marcos. Last week, the Vikings won their first game in 2 years by beating Belton 13-6. That win marked the first for new head coach T.J. Dilworth. Today, I honored Coach Dilworth and his team with our Team of the Week award. Lanier running back Ferry Norfelt accepted our trophy. Lanier plays in San Marcos tonight in Bobcat Stadium, and we'll let you know how they did tonight at 10 on the Action News Update.
All right, very good. Thank you very much, Hugh.
We'll be back with more right after this.
Nothing's better than American cooking, and America's cooking with Wesson.
Let's eat. Don't miss Aunt Betty's chicken.
So crispy.
Great.
Juicy, too. Really
Wow. Homemade fries.
I can't imagine what she does to make these things so light.
Save room for pie.
You ought to visit us more often, Charlie. Oh, what a meal.
America's cooking with all-natural Wesson. Vegetable, corn, and sunflower oils. With every bite, you know you're frying right.
Chevrolet salutes the competitive spirit with Go For It savings. Go for up to $1,500 when you combine cash back and option package savings on a new Beretta or Corsica. Go for $500 cash back on a new Camaro, or go for hundreds in savings on other select Chevrolets. But you've got to go for it now, because after September 28th, Go For It savings will be gone.
Go for the savings now on selected cars and trucks. See your Central Texas Chevy dealers.
Remember that vacation trip that was so important to your family?
If it's important to you, it's important to us.
Count on Safeco Claim Service to protect the things you care about at home or on the road. Talk to your independent Safeco insurance agent.
If it's important to you, it's important to us.
Safeco. If it's important to you, it's important to us.
And that's 24 Action News at 6 for this Friday.
Stay with us throughout tonight for the very latest on Hurricane Gilbert. Have a good evening.